Ladies and gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you today of something that is so simple, yet so powerful that we often overlook it. It is the power of words. Words may look like mere sounds, vibrations carried through the air, but they are far more than that. Words are seeds. Words are forces. Words are the tools that shape the world around us and within us. Every single word you speak is either building life or spreading death, creating hope or deepening despair. If you think back to the beginning of time, the universe itself was spoken into existence. Light appeared because God said, "Let there be light." Creation came alive because of a word. That means words are not just sounds. They are carriers of creation, carriers of life, carriers of healing. And if words carry such incredible weight, then what we choose to say over our lives matters more than we realize. Many people walk through life defeated, broken, and hopeless, not only because of the challenges they face, but because of the words they rehearse every single day. I'm not good enough. I'll never be healed. Nothing ever works out for me. This sickness will destroy me. These words are not just sentences, they are declarations. And when spoken repeatedly, they create a reality in the heart and in the mind. Negative words open the door to fear, to doubt, to weakness. But positive words, faith-filled words, can transform the darkest night into the brightest morning. Think about this. When a child is encouraged, when someone whispers, "I believe in you," that child stands taller, tries harder, and feels stronger. Why? Because words can heal. Words can build confidence. Words can shift the atmosphere around us. If human encouragement has that kind of power, imagine how much more powerful it becomes when we align our words with faith, when we align our words with God's truth. That is why I say to you, never underestimate the power of one single line spoken with belief. You may think it's too small, too insignificant, but remember, it only takes one spark to light a fire, one drop of water to create a ripple, one seed to grow a tree. In the same way, one line spoken in faith can be the turning point between despair and healing, between defeat and victory. The reason many of us do not experience breakthrough is not because God's power is weak or distant, but because our words are working against us. We pray with our lips, but then we cancel the prayer with our complaints. We say, "Lord, I believe," but then we walk away saying, "I'll probably never get better." Faith and doubt cannot walk together, and your words will decide which one takes the lead. I encourage you today to examine your words. What are you speaking over your life, over your family, over your health, over your future? If your words are constantly negative, you are tying your own hands. But if you begin to declare life, if you begin to speak faith, if you begin to use your words as tools of healing instead of weapons of destruction, everything will begin to shift. Science itself shows us that words affect the brain and body. When you speak positive, hopeful words, your brain releases chemicals that strengthen your immune system, calm your mind, and increase your strength. But when you speak negative words, your body responds with stress, anxiety, and weakness. That means what you say has the ability to either weaken or strengthen your healing process. God has already designed your body and spirit to respond to the words you declare. So I challenge you to replace every negative statement with a declaration of faith. Instead of saying, "I am broken," say, "I am being restored." Instead of saying, "I will never heal," say, "God is healing me even now." Instead of saying, "I cannot," say, "With God, all things are possible." Even when your eyes cannot see the result, your words are planting seeds in the unseen. And when the time comes, those seeds will grow into healing, into breakthrough, into miracles. There was once a man who was bedridden for years. The doctors had lost hope. His family had lost hope. But he kept speaking one line every single day, "God will heal me." Even when he was in pain, even when nothing seemed to change, he kept repeating those words. Over and over again, he declared them like a song, like a battle cry. 1 year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed, and then slowly his health began to improve. Today, that man walks, talks, and lives with strength because the power of his words refused to let sickness have the final say. My friends, do not underestimate what your mouth can release. Your words can either chain you to pain or free you into healing. They can either open the door to despair or invite the presence of God to work in your life. That is why I remind you again, the power of one line is real. It is not about how long you pray or how fancy your words are. It is about the faith behind the words. If your words align with faith, you can overcome fear. If your words align with hope, you can silence despair. If your words align with God's promises, healing will begin to flow. So take hold of that power today. Don't waste your voice on complaining. Don't waste your voice on fear. Use your voice as a weapon of faith. Use your voice as an instrument of healing. And remember, one line spoken with belief can change everything. There are many things in life that are complicated. People spend years searching for answers, chasing after solutions, running from one place to another, hoping to find something that will finally bring them peace, healing, and breakthrough. But often, the greatest truths are not complicated at all. They are simple. They are not long, confusing philosophies or endless rituals. They are as short as a single sentence, as clear as one line of faith. That one line is this: God, I trust you. Those 4 words may not sound impressive to the human ear, but they carry weight in the spiritual realm. They carry the kind of power that moves mountains, opens doors, and breaks chains. To say, God, I trust you, is more than a casual phrase. It is a declaration of surrender, a confession of faith, and an invitation for divine healing to flow into your life. When you speak those words, you are letting go of the illusion of control. You are admitting that your strength alone cannot carry the weight of sickness, struggle, or suffering. You are acknowledging that human effort has limits, but God's power does not. And when you surrender the battle into His hands, you place yourself under the covering of His healing grace. Think about it. When a child is hurt, they don't run calculations or study textbooks to figure out how to fix themselves. They simply run to their parent, lift up their arms, and trust. That is the kind of trust that moves the heart of God. That is the kind of trust that heals wounds no medicine can touch, that restores peace no therapy can provide, that strengthens bones and hearts and souls in ways human power cannot. The words, God, I trust you, are powerful because they cut through fear. Fear tells you that the sickness will win. Fear whispers that the pain will last forever. Fear shouts that you are powerless, but trust silences fear. Trust speaks louder. Trust says, I may not see the answer yet, but I know the one who holds the answer. I may not feel healed yet, but I know the one who is the healer. I may not understand what is happening, but I know the one who sees the whole picture. There is healing in trust because trust removes the poison of worry. Worry weakens the mind, the body, and the soul. It creates stress that eats away at peace, hope, and even physical strength. But when you say, God, I trust you, you release that poison. You unclench your fists and hand over the battle. Suddenly, peace begins to replace panic. Hope begins to replace despair. And strength begins to rise where weakness used to live. You see, trust is not about denying reality. It is not pretending that pain is not real or that sickness is not present. Trust is looking at the reality and still choosing to believe that God's power is greater than the reality you see. It is declaring, yes, the storm is fierce, but my God is stronger. Yes, the valley is deep, but my God is my shepherd. Yes, the diagnosis may be negative, but my God has the final say. When you say, God, I trust you, you are unlocking the flow of healing. Healing begins not only in the body, but in the heart and mind. And when the heart and mind are healed, the body begins to follow. Healing comes in many forms. It may be a sudden miracle, it may be a gradual restoration, or it may be a deep peace that carries you through. But however it comes, trust is the key that opens the door. Let me tell you, there are countless testimonies of people who faced impossible situations, but found strength and healing by clinging to this one line. A mother watching her child in the hospital whispered, "God, I trust you," through tears, and saw her child recover beyond what doctors expected. A man who had lost his business, his health, and his hope began declaring those words every morning, and step by step, restoration found him. New opportunities, renewed strength, and a joy he thought he had lost forever. The reason this line is so powerful is because it takes the focus off of the problem and puts it on the promise. Problems scream for attention. Pain demands focus. But when you choose to say, "God, I trust you," you are redirecting your focus. You are no longer staring at the size of the mountain. You are looking at the one who moves mountains. And that shift in perspective is what creates room for miracles to happen. Healing begins in the moment of surrender. Some people wait until they have tried everything else before turning to God. But what if instead we begin with trust? What if the very first line on our lips in every battle was, "God, I trust you"? How much worry, how much fear, how much unnecessary pain would be lifted if we chose to begin with trust instead of ending with it. So today I encourage you, no matter where you are, no matter what pain you carry, begin to declare those words. Speak them in the morning when you wake. Speak them at night before you sleep. Speak them in the middle of your struggle. Speak them when your heart feels weak. Keep repeating it until your spirit believes it. God, I trust you. Say it until your mind calms. Say it until your soul rests. Say it until fear breaks. Say it until healing flows. Because those 4 words carry more power than 1,000 words of worry. Remember this, one line is enough. One line spoken with faith can carry you from despair into hope, from pain into healing, from weakness into strength. Let that line be your anthem, your shield, your declaration. God, I trust you. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can paralyze the human heart. It creeps in silently, it whispers in the night, it chains the mind, and it steals hope before it can even bloom. Fear magnifies problems, exaggerates pain, and makes the future look darker than it really is. Many people are not destroyed by the challenges they face, but by the fear that those challenges create. Fear eats away at strength long before the real battle even begins. But I want you to know something. Fear does not have to rule you. Fear does not have to have the final say, because faith is stronger than fear. And when faith speaks, fear is silenced. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. They are like light and darkness. Where there is light, darkness must flee. Where there is faith, fear begins to crumble. The human mind may try to balance both, but the truth is simple. Whichever one you feed will grow. If you feed fear with constant worry, negative thoughts, and hopeless words, fear will take over. But if you feed faith with trust, with prayer, with declaration, then faith will rise and fear will fade. The line between fear and faith is thin, yet life-changing. Fear says, what if I never get better? Faith says, God is already working on my healing. Fear says, what if this pain never ends? Faith says, this too shall pass, and my God will carry me through. Fear says, I cannot handle this storm. Faith says, with God by my side, I will survive this storm and come out stronger. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are declaring victory before the battle is even over. Fear has a way of making the problem look bigger than God. It builds mountains out of molehills, giants out of shadows. It convinces you that the sickness, the struggle, the loss is too big to overcome. But faith restores perspective. Faith reminds you that no problem is greater than the one who created the universe. Faith does not deny the size of the storm. It simply declares that the one who calms storms is present. And that declaration is the beginning of healing. Many people wonder why they feel so weak in their struggles. And often it is because fear has drained their energy before they even began to fight. Fear is like a thief that sneaks into your spirit and steals your courage, steals your peace, and steals your joy. But when you begin to shift into faith, strength is restored. Faith breathes life back into weary bones. Faith puts fire back into tired hearts. Faith lifts your eyes from the ground of despair to the horizon of hope. Healing comes more quickly to those who choose faith over fear because the body responds to belief. Studies show that fear and stress weaken the immune system, but faith and hope strengthen it. That means that choosing faith is not only a spiritual act, but also a physical one. It is literally life-giving. When you say, I believe, when you say, God is my healer, your body, mind, and soul align with that declaration, and healing begins to take root. Faith is not about ignoring the facts. It's about trusting God beyond the facts. The report may say one thing, but faith declares another. The situation may look impossible, but faith sees the possibility. Faith is that inner voice that tells you, don't give up yet. God is not finished with you. Healing is on its way. Fear will always shout louder at first, but faith has the final word if you let it. There are countless stories of people who overcame because they chose faith over fear. People who were told they had no chance, yet they believed. People who were surrounded by darkness, yet they trusted in the light. One man, lying in the hospital bed with no hope from doctors, whispered to himself over and over again, God has not forgotten me. God will heal me. Even though fear tried to drown him, he kept clinging to faith. And little by little, his health returned until he walked out of that hospital, alive and healed, because faith triumphed over fear. My friend, you must make a choice daily, fear or faith. Every time fear knocks at the door, you can either open it and let it sit in your home, or you can answer with faith and tell fear there is no room here. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of fear. It is the choice to trust God even when the outcome is unclear. When you say, God, I trust you, you are choosing faith. When you speak life over your sickness, you are choosing faith. When you declare healing before it happens, you're choosing faith. And every time you choose faith, you weaken the grip of fear. Fear loses its hold and healing gains strength. So today, I urge you, starve your fear, feed your faith. Stop repeating the words of fear and start declaring the words of faith. Say it in the morning, say it at night, say it in the middle of the storm. Let your soul hear your own voice declaring, I will not fear, I will believe, I will trust. Healing is mine. Remember this, fear paralyzes, but faith moves mountains. Fear weakens, but faith strengthens. Fear looks at the problem, but faith looks at God. And the God you serve is greater than the fear you feel. Choose faith today and watch how healing begins to flow into every part of your life. When people hear the word healing, most immediately think of the body. They think of diseases being cured, pain disappearing, and physical strength returning. And yes, that is one part of healing, but it is not the whole picture. True healing goes far beyond the physical body. True healing touches the mind, restores the heart, and revives the spirit. Because what good is it if your body is strong, but your heart is broken? What good is it if you are standing tall physically, but your spirit is weighed down with bitterness, fear, or despair? Healing is not complete until every part of you, body, mind, and soul, has been restored. Many people are walking around with smiles on their faces and energy in their steps, but deep down, they are carrying wounds that no one can see. They are battling the pain of betrayal, the ache of loneliness, the exhaustion of anxiety, the weight of depression. You can go to a doctor and receive medicine for the body, but who heals the soul? You can sit with a counselor to process the mind, But who restores the spirit? There is only one source of full, complete healing, and that is God. When you say, God, I trust you, you are not only asking for your body to be healed, you are inviting Him to heal the parts of you that no one else even knows are broken. Think about the way pain works. Physical pain is sharp and obvious, but emotional and spiritual pain often cuts deeper. Words that were spoken years ago still linger in someone's heart like fresh wounds. Memories of rejection still whisper lies in the night. Guilt from past mistakes still poisons the present moment. This is why people can look fine on the outside and yet feel empty on the inside. But the good news is this: God is a healer of the unseen. He goes where medicine cannot go. He touches what no human hand can reach. He restores the parts of you that even you may have forgotten were wounded. Healing beyond the body also means peace of mind. How many sleepless nights are spent tossing and turning, overwhelmed by worry? How many people suffer not from physical sickness, but from the sickness of fear, the sickness of stress, the sickness of uncertainty? A tired body can rest with sleep, but a tired mind can only rest when peace enters. And that peace comes when you speak the line of trust, God, I trust you. Those words calm the storm within. They silence the noise of anxiety. They remind your heart that you are not carrying the burden alone. That is healing beyond the body. Then there is the healing of the heart. Broken relationships, disappointments, betrayals, these leave scars that no one can see, but you feel every single day. You can carry those wounds for years, pretending they don't hurt, but inside the pain shapes your choices and steals your joy. Yet God is near to the brokenhearted. He does not simply stitch up the wound. He makes the heart new again. He gives you the strength to forgive, the courage to love again, and the freedom to live without chains of bitterness. That is healing beyond the body. And then there is the healing of the spirit. Sometimes life drains the very essence out of you. You no longer feel purpose, no longer feel connected, no longer feel alive inside. That's when you need revival, not just recovery. Healing of the spirit means fire returning to your soul. It means joy that cannot be explained, peace that cannot be stolen, and strength that cannot be broken. It is that deep assurance that no matter what happens around you, your spirit is anchored in something unshakable. When you say, God, I trust you, you're opening the door to this kind of total healing. You are not just asking Him to remove pain from your body. You are giving Him permission to heal the hidden places, the secret battles, the silent tears. And that is the healing many of us truly need. Because often the greatest suffering is not visible, but invisible. And when God heals the invisible, the visible begins to follow. I remember hearing the story of a woman who looked perfectly fine on the outside, but inside she was drowning in depression and fear. She prayed every night for healing, thinking it was just her mind that needed relief. But one day she whispered, God, I trust you with every part of me. And slowly she began to notice not only her anxiety lifting, but also her body regaining energy, her relationships being restored, and her joy returning. Her healing was not just about one part of her life. It was about her entire being made whole again. This is the kind of healing God offers: complete healing, holistic healing.